Welcome to the Own It Sister podcast with the amazing life coach, Sarah Oxendine.
Aloha, everybody. How are you? This is Sarah Oxendine with the Own It Sister podcast, episode number 14. And today we are talking about self-sabotage. I am very familiar with this topic, and so I thought it was really important because a lot of times we don't even realize that we're self-sabotaging. And so we're going to talk about all the things. First, I wanted to start off with what the definition of sabotaging is, and it's whether consciously or subconsciously of oneself. Self-sabotage is the sabotaging, whether consciously or subconsciously, of oneself, one's own interests and plans, etc. To sabotage oneself or one's own plans. So it's such an interesting thing that we would ever do that to ourselves, right? Like, why would we do that? And it really is like a coping mechanism so that we can feel less discomfort, not even recognizing that we're just prolonging discomfort in the first place. So let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, the problem with self-sabotage is it becomes a habit, okay? It's just like, it just becomes this habit because we have these thoughts that cause us to self-sabotage, because that is an action, right? And we get so familiar, we end up in this spiral of self-sabotage. And some of you out there might be like, no, I definitely never self-sabotage myself. This is not a thing for me. And I just want you to listen, because maybe it is and you don't even realize it. If it isn't, high five to you, but if you're a human on planet Earth, 100% you have self-sabotaged. So let's just try to become more aware and recognize, if you're doing it, where are you doing it and how are you doing it in your life? There are three main ways that we do this, okay? First, you probably don't even know that you are doing this. And the ultimate self-sabotage is not planning your future. Okay, so if you're asking yourself, if you notice you're saying to yourself, I never self-sabotage, then I want to ask you this: what are your future goals? What are your plans? And if your answer is, wait, I don't have any, then right there you're self-sabotaging by not making plans in the first place. You're totally failing ahead of time. Crazy, right? So ask yourself the question: What is my future plans? What are my goals? And then another thing that could happen is that, you could be making plans so big that they're unrealistic, that you never actually that you're not even working towards them at all, because you haven't even broken them down into smaller steps. Then you could also be having goals that are so small that they're not actually big enough to helping you create your optimal life. Okay. So just be aware. If you don't already know this, your future is your property. Okay. So you need to own it like it's your property, right? You've really got to take that and make it yours. Your future doesn't just happen to you. Okay? Your future, you are creating it right now, whether you're planning for it or not. If you choose just not to plan for it, you're still creating whatever it's going to be. You're just allowing it to be whatever comes up. Like, you're just literally not having any control over it. Sorry. Let's go to, so the second is lack of awareness. So I think this has been my place of self-sabotage, is just not being aware of what was like before I started doing this work. Like, if you asked me, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? I would have just been like, I don't know. It's so crazy to think how not in touch I was with me, where I was in my mind and in my thoughts and in my feelings it's actually insane how out of touch I was. And so for me, my work has been getting really in touch with what's going on inside of my head, becoming really aware of what are the thoughts in my brain, what are the feelings that I'm feeling, identifying them, and practicing to feel them. And another thing for myself that has been a self-discovery for me has been I really don't like pain. Like if I think about the way I give birth, I have 5 kids. I am like resisting like nobody's business. And I remember going to Lamaze classes and they're just like, just lean into it, like feel the pain, just allow your body to open up to it so your baby can just like slide out of you. Like in no way, shape, or form did that happen for me. I was like, what? Like I am loud and I scream and I'm just like a crazy person. And then you see these other women and they're just like, so it almost seems like nothing's really happening inside of their body because they're just like so just leaning into it and opening up for it and allowing it, which when you open up and you allow for the discomfort, for the pain, you're actually creating less discomfort and less pain because you're not adding the resistance of it on. And so for me, it would just be all this extra resistance because I'm like, no, this is not happening. Let's just pull this kid out. But if I would have just practiced, and I even, like my last baby, I had him at home and I really did try. I didn't practice enough though. So, but again, that was 4 years ago. And here I am now really having to do a lot of work at practicing and leaning into feeling uncomfortable, leaning into feeling the pain. I've also done plenty of buffering, right? If you are someone like me who really doesn't like to feel the uncomfort of pain in all the areas, then what you will find is when things get hard, you're eating things you shouldn't be eating, or you're shopping and spending money that you wouldn't normally be spending. You're watching Netflix more than you normally would have. You're binge watching episodes. You're not getting the sleep that you need, right? Like you're doing these things, you're over drinking, you're overeating. You're doing these things that are helping you not feel the pain of discomfort. So when you bring to awareness what's going on inside of you, then you can address these things, right? So before I didn't understand that my overeating directly correlated to the way I was thinking and feeling, right? If I was feeling frustrated, if I was feeling disconnection, if I was feeling boredom, if I was feeling all of those things, it was like, oh, let's eat some. And here's the other thing. It's not like I was like buffering with like adult things. It's not like, oh, let's have a steak and a salad. It's like, let's have Oreos and ice cream. You know what I'm saying? So it's like my brain was totally in this childish mentality of throwing a temper tantrum, basically. So just be aware and notice that. So as you become more aware, you're going to be able to address these things so you aren't self-sabotaging. So for me, I was self-sabotaging my life through eating kid food. What? It's ridiculous. So notice, where are you doing this? So that level of awareness, now you can address the problem, right? If you can't admit you're an alcoholic, you can't address that you are. If I can't admit that I am self-sabotaging and I can't recognize it's something that I'm doing, then I'm not going to be able to change it. So that's the second one, is awareness or lack of awareness. You need to know, how are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? Why do you do the things you do? What is it that makes you tick? Explore and learn, ask questions. The third thing that we do is sorry, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. I wanted to mention, so really, before we move on to the third one, just really understanding and learning the patterns of your actions and your thinking. Okay, why is it that you tick the way you do? The third is being past focused. So if you are someone who you notice and you find your mind like leaning into the past, like thinking about the past a lot, really judging yourself about the past. Like maybe you're like, well, I haven't I wasn't able to do it. I didn't do it that time, so I'm not going to be able to do it this time. Or I tried a business once and it failed, so I know I'm going to fail in all the businesses that I try. I was married before and I got divorced, so now and he cheated on me, so now I can't trust any men because I obviously have poor choice in men, right? Like if you notice you are having this thinking that is focusing on your past, that is another way to self-sabotage. Because you are not allowing yourself to create a future that is going to be in your best interest, that is going to be for you because you're so busy worrying about all the things that you did wrong and why it didn't work, or that you've never done it before, so it must not be possible, right? Like, oh, I was born into a family and we don't make a lot of money. It's just, I'm not going to make a lot of money, so I guess I'm just not one of those people that makes a lot of money. That wasn't in my deck of cards. Okay, crock of crap. You can create and make anything your hand. All right? It's going to take maybe more work and more effort than maybe someone else because you got these thoughts in your brain you're going to need to work through, but it's possible. So that is the third one. And here's what I want to say to that too, right? We never, for all of you mamas out there or anyone who, have you ever watched a child learn how to walk? Does that 15-month-old ever say, or in their brain, is it ever a thought that they're like, oh, I've tried to stand up and walk 100 times now. I keep falling. I guess I'm never walking. What? They don't ever have that thought, and neither do you. It takes 700 to 1,000 times of that kid, maybe more, getting up and falling down, trying the exact same thing over and over, just standing. They try to stand and then they fall. They try to stand and then they fall. And then they take one step and then they fall. Like that, you have to understand, if you want to create the life that you want, if you want to get different results than what you're getting, you have to be willing to go through that process. Now, it's interesting because something happens at the age, I think it's 24 or 25, where all of a sudden, for some reason, our brain decides that if we haven't done it before, we probably can't do it. Does that even make any sense? It doesn't make any sense because all of our life prior to that, right? Never are we in kindergarten and we're probably not going to make it to first grade. What the heck? Or we're not, oh, probably I'll never make it to high school. What? Then you're in high school. So I'm oh, I'm probably not going to make it to college. It's probably not going to. And then you're in college. Oh, probably not going to really graduate. What? And then something happens. We get to 23, 24, 25, and something in our brain, it's it just switches. It's all of a sudden, we've just decided this is just our baseline. This is just it. This is where we are. This is all we're exceeding to of what we are right now. I'm not going to try something new because it's probably not going to work. And we just fail ahead of time. So the only way to stop self-sabotage is you got to be willing to let go of the things, right? You got to be willing to let go of procrastination. You got to be willing to let go of buffering. Buffering is all things like overeating, over drinking, over sexing, over porning, over Netflixing, over Facebooking, all of those things, over shopping, over spending. All of that is buffering. And it's buffering because you don't want to feel the discomfort of your real life. Here's why you need to feel the discomfort of your real life. You aren't going to change anything if you don't feel how uncomfortable it is to be where you are right now. So you have to allow yourself to be where you are now. Be honest with yourself. What does the relationship that you're in really feel like? What does your relationship with your children really feel like? Who are your kids? Do you really like the way that they're turning out? Because there are things that you need to adjust. Do you like your job? Are you happy with the amount of money that you're making? Are you happy in your marriage? Are you happy with your relationships, with everyone that matters to you? And just really go through, are you happy with your living situation? You got to go through there, be present with where you really are right now. And don't buffer. Just allow yourself to feel what it feels like. So, here's something that you can do, okay? In the model, you would put self-sabotage would be the action that you're taking or when I did it, I actually put it in the result, and then the result that I'm getting is self-sabotage. But I guess it actually is the action that you're taking is causing it, but whatever. So let's just say you're in a job right now and you have been wanting a raise, but you're not asking for a raise. Okay. I'm going to run this model through, which I actually wrote one out, which I'm going to read it to you. So let's say that this is you. Let's say, so you'd write in the circumstance, a raise, and your thought is they should offer it to me. And you have a feeling of disappointment. And then your action is you don't ask for the raise. And then the result is you self-sabotage by, actually, the self-sabotage is you don't ask for the raise. And the result is you don't get one. Okay? Here's how you would change that. And that's, you would write a new model, which is circumstances, a raise. The thought is, I have earned a raise. Your feeling is confident, and then you ask for a raise. For all of you ladies in this circumstance, what I want you to understand is, I wrote down the statistics here. Okay. Listen, men are 4 times more likely to ask for a raise than women. And when they ask for that raise, they ask for 30% more than women do. What? Whose fault is that? That's our fault, right? So if you're a woman in a situation and you're not asking for a raise, you need to understand that you need to ask for the raise. And when your thought is, but they should just give it to me. I've been working here long enough. They should notice what I'm doing. Then you are leaving it. You're literally self-sabotaging your finances, and you're leaving it into someone else's hands. Who should your finances be in? Your hands, not their hands. Okay. You got to take that power back. You got to just feel the discomfort and the fear of asking for it. And did you hear that? 30% higher men ask for 30% higher raise than women. So whatever is in your head, maybe you want to ask for 30% more than that, right? Let's flip this. Let's eliminate this statistic. So there's that. So the self-sabotage there is, instead of asking for the raise, you don't ask for the raise, and then you just complain about why you don't get a raise. And then you're creating more of the same. Okay. Another example could be maybe you want your husband to kiss you more. Okay. So the circumstance would be your husband. Your thought would be, he should kiss me more. Then you feel rejected. The action is, I don't kiss him as much and as I want to, and I create distance between us. So do you see how the action, because you have that thought, it causes you to act in a way that is causing you to self-sabotage you getting what you want. You just want to kiss your husband more. You really want him to kiss you more. But how do you get more of what you want? You got to do more of what you want. So then you end up, the result of not kissing him as much and creating distance between you is, the result is you don't kiss as much. And you're very disappointed and annoyed with your relationship. Here's how you could change that. Husband, could have a thought. I love kissing him. That thought is going to help you to feel love. Then the action is you kiss him every chance you get. What's the result? You kiss more often. And who feels better? You. And you didn't need him to do anything. So take your power back, ladies. Another circumstance, start my own business. If you have a thought that is something along the lines of, now is not the right time, what does that cause you to do? Feel let down. It can cause you to feel, what does that feel like inside of you when you think the thought, now is not the right time? And then you procrastinate starting your business. And then the result is waiting for the right time, which, by the way, newsflash, it's not ever the right time. You have to create that for yourself. Okay. Okay. So here's how you change the model. The circumstance is the same. Start my business. You choose a different thought. No better time than now. When you think that thought instead of now's not the right time, you feel differently. When you feel differently, then you act differently. So no better time than now, cause you to feel excited. And then you get your business license. And the result is now you've started your own business. And of course, you're going to need to take more steps to continue that. But do you see how there's little tweaks of wherever you are right now that is causing you to sabotage you from getting what you want? And another thing is so you need to first identify, where are you? What type of self-sabotaging are you doing, right? Are you just not even making any plans and setting any goals? If that's you, you need to start setting some goals, and then you need to feel all the uncomfort of what comes up with it, right? Maybe you're a single mama and you've been wanting to date, but then you're like, I don't know if I really want to. It's really uncomfortable. But then you're like alone and you really would like to have a partner to enjoy this human experience with. So you're going to feel uncomfortable and sabotage yourself to not have any relationships, but you're still going to feel the discomfort of being a single mom and not having a companion to share the journey with. Or you could just feel uncomfortable and go out and date. But you're going to feel uncomfortable either way. So like, this is what the point I want to make you. There's no getting rid of discomfort, fear, and disappointment. All of those are a part of the human experience. You're going to feel them anyways. So you might as well lean into it and feel them in a way that's on your way to getting what you want, right? But we don't even realize this is happening, which is why we're having this conversation, because I want you to understand. I want you to become more aware. Where are you self-sabotaging? Are you the person who's not creating any goals? Are you the person who creates goals, but then you buffer the crap out of yourself? Woohoo! That's my type of self-sabotage. And you just hide under the covers because it's so uncomfortable. Or are you the person who just is always living in your past? You're just focusing on the past and you just end up creating more and more of your past. So you've got to be willing to let go of procrastination. You've got to be willing to let go of the buffering. You've got to be willing to let go of procrastination, buffering. What were the other two? Got to be willing to let go of the procrastination. Got to be willing to let go of the buffering. You got to be willing of letting go of not showing up. You got to show up for you. You've got to show up, and you got to stop quitting. That's the other thing. If you find yourself starting something and then just quitting, here's what they say. And I think I heard this from Success Principles with, hey lover, who was that? Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield is Success Principles. If you haven't read that book, 100% you should. Or listen to it on audio. That's what I did. It's like the percentage of humans who quit just before they make it. Like, just imagine that you are like just about to make it, but you gave up just before. Like, what? That happens so often. Like, just before, like, it's just around the corner. But then you quit. So don't quit on you. Most likely you wouldn't quit on your child. Most likely you wouldn't quit on those that you love. And yet you end up quitting on yourself. So don't do it. And actually, so normally, let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up here. What I want you to get out of this is that you're going to feel uncomfortable in your life anyways. Like, it's 50-50, which I'm going to do a separate podcast on. 50-50. Half the time is negative emotion, and the other 50 is positive emotion. What happens is, as you practice feeling the negative emotion and stop resisting it, the negative emotion feels less terrible. And if you right now are thinking, it is not true, that's not true, it's not 50-50, that's not true, that's a lie, then I would like to offer you that you're most likely buffering in some way so that you think you're not feeling the uncomfort of the 50% of being human. But the truth is, you're just buffering that 50% away, thinking that it's not there. It's there. It's still there. It doesn't matter who you are and where you are. It's just the way that it is. It was by divine design. So there's that. So might as well be in charge of that 50% of feeling crappy and have that 50% of feeling crappy moving towards what you want, rather than 50% of feeling crappy, being in the crappy situation that you're just staying in because you're so comfortable with that feeling of crappy. You understand it, you feel it, you know it. And it's a little scary to move to the uncomfortable of crappy that is the unknown. But I'm telling you, if you just go to the unknown of crappy, then what will happen is you'll only feel the crappy that one time for the situation. Because when we procrastinate the crappy, what happens is we procrastinate the crappy, then we just feel crappy later, and then we feel crappy because we still haven't done the thing that we intended to do in the first place. Now we're like double crappiness. So everything about it is worse. Or we could just feel the crap one time and just move through it. And then we get to move to the next thing, but at least we're closer to our goal. All right, so let's see. What essential oils can you use for self-sabotage? Slim and Sassy, Zendocrine, Blue Tansy, Marjoram. Holy snap. Which, marjoram, again, I think I talked about this last time, is an oil I used to use like for like 2 years, 3 to 5 times a day. I used to put it on my chest. So very good. Slim and Sassy, you can take internally. You can also smell it and put it in the diffuser. This is what I want you to do when you're using these oils. I want you to say, am I afraid of my own brilliance? What has taught me to fear success? I can now release fearing my own brilliance. I can reject all belittling self-talk. Identify and dismiss faulty notions in your mind and heart. Invite positive beliefs and provide fresh support. So as you practice doing the model in your life, as you get more familiar with what are your thoughts, what is going on inside of your head, you're going to be then increase your awareness as you actually write down goals and you have something to aim for. Okay. So my name is Sarah Oxendine. I also have an amazing program. It's a 6-week program. I work with women who are recently divorced, and we help with all of these topics. We work one-on-one. It's super awesome and amazing. And we really I help teach you skills and tools, and I work with you one-on-one so that you can move from where you are to where you want to be. And if you're interested in that, let me know. My number is below in the description below. All right. Have an amazing day, my friends. I always want to say remain unaltered and own it, sister.